Agent, watch out. That's the cleaner that killed our security team. He's using some special fuel. The flames had a weird color and decimated everything in their path. Please.
Opportunistic as soon as you can, please.
Yeah.
You need to neutralize that cleaner. That room could go up in minutes. If the fire doesn't kill you, the lack of oxygen will.
That was
good, Deeps.
That was some good deeps. That chat is why we're called DPS. What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division build video. So this is the build that we've settled on for now. It absolutely melts in the Incursion, but it does require you to have the SMG that comes from it, the OUROBOROS. If you've not got the OUROBOROS, I'll link some other builds that you can run down below in the description. So let's get cracking with this. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Come and check me out on all platforms now. I stream live on Kick, Twitch and on YouTube. You can catch me at 7 PM UK time, and join my community Discord. You'll find a link for that down below in the description as well. Right, so let's crack on with this. So really easy right off the rip. Select firewall, select assault rifle damage if you're going to be using an assault rifle. For this, if you're going to be using the OUROBOROS, which this build is intended for, you're going to want to make sure you select SMG damage and take the shotgun damage, because we will be using a shotgun as well at some point. And if you run out of ammo, which I often do with the OUROBOROS, I don't keep a close enough eye on it. I really need to switch into whatever your secondary is, and in this case it'll be a shotgun. Just get that extra damage from it as well. Everything else from this is really nice, but the reason we're taking this is we want the striker shield, because that increases our damage for everybody that will be within range of us. And it's actually quite a lot of damage, so definitely take that as well. So let's take a look at the build. So right off the rip, there you go. It's nothing terribly special, it's certainly nothing new, but it puts out an insane amount of damage. And I'll go over why, and I'll go over alternatives, and I'll go over, you know, pros and cons of certain pieces. First of all, we're going to take the striker shield. As you can see here, it gives us a damage bonus of 12% per enemy, and if this is the lovebirds, you're going to have both of them at one point in front of you. You know, that'll give you 24%. Really nice. What also you've got to think about here as well is when you mod this thing up, you got to make sure you put the right mods in here. You can see here we've got a damage bonus here, we've got another damage bonus here as well, and we've also got active regeneration. So just make sure that you got the correct bonuses there as well. And I don't know why this thing's not rendering, it all looks a little bit weird. Right, so, and secondary slot here. Now this is going to change depending on where in the Incursion you are up to. I flipped this around depending on where I'm up to. I use a decoy for the, you know, the initial running in to distract the turrets. I use a decoy in the right fight as well, but when it comes to the tanker fight, I use an EMP sticky, because them drones can be really tricky, and if you hit them with the sticky, they stay, you know, out of service for about 5 seconds or so, and plenty of time with this build to get them down and get them killed. But that's pretty much all I use. And then for the lovebirds, I use a regular scanner pulse, and the reason is why is when I go up to damage the enemies, I'll get an overcharge from the healer in our group. And as you can see here, you and your allies' damage is amplified by 15% to pulsed targets. So it gives you an even bigger damage boost for that final push for when you're killing the lovebirds. Next up, we're going to use the Coyote's Mask. And the reason we're going to use the Coyote's Mask is because we're going to be really close to most of our enemies. We're going to get 10% crit chance and crit damage generally if we're killing ads and things like that, because we're going to be 15 to 25 meters away. And we're also then, when we're killing bosses, going to be really close, and we're going to get 25% critical hit damage. And that's huge in this build. When you look at the stats, 25% of our crit damage is a huge amount of extra damage. Usually I'm not a massive fan of the Coyote's mask because, you know, if we're within 0 to 50 meters, that means potentially we might not be capped on crit chance. But we can play around with that a little bit, and I'll talk about that again in a minute, where you can adjust this to your own sweet spot. Then we're going to run Contractor's Gloves, or you can run Foxy's knee pads, and these both have pros and cons. Now, obviously, the Contractor's Gloves are damage to armor, so they're going to be pretty much active on everything in the Incursion at all times, because everything has an armor bar, even the skills. So these are pretty much probably going to be best in slot for this. But if you wanted to run Foxy's knee pads instead, you could do. They'll give you damage to target out of cover at 8%. Everything, all of the bosses certainly are always going to be out of cover. They don't go into cover, so you'll get the same amount of damage no matter which one you run. So if you've got to pick between one or the other, you can run either, but preferably you're going to want to run the Contractor's Gloves. And then we're going to run Strikers, and we're just going to set that out really easy. The backpack is definitely a must. You want to take that because we want the 1% from Strikers Gamble. Weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage for my stats here. And then we've got the chest piece, weapon damage, crit damage, crit damage. And then we've got the holster, weapon damage, critical hit damage. The reason we're going to run the chest piece, and we're going to run the chest piece for the boss encounter, so in right, and we're going to run the chest piece when it comes to the lovebirds at the end, because it's so easy for us to stack up stacks. With right, you can stack up stacks really quickly. The minute he appears, even though he's invulnerable, you could use the rock and roll and absolutely plow him, even though he's invulnerable, and get your stacks to max before you even start putting out damage. And also with the lovebirds, you get a couple of adds at the beginning, so you can just use the rock and roll there and get your stacks up really quickly. But I find it's not really needed too much with the lovebirds. You just go ham with your SMG. More so if you're going to be using the St. Elmo with this build, or if you're going to be using a Sleipnir with this build or something like that, you can pre-stack with the rock and roll. And that's going to be it for the video. Really short and sweet. We can take a look at the stats. And this is what I talked about before. I opted to go for 53% critical hit chance, so that if we're within the medium range, we'll still get cap crit chance and we'll still get some extra critical hit damage. But for them short bursts of fun when you're really close to the bosses and you're doing the absolute max DPS, we are going to be at 53% crit chance, but we're going to get 25% extra critical hit damage. I don't like that. Have I got max? Have I not got max? That's why I usually stay away from that Coyote's mask. But what you got to think about as well is that this is buffing the team as well. There's 3 other players getting the advantage from it as well. So that little bit of crit chance that I am losing out on there for if we are close, the crit damage that everybody's gaining is absolutely huge. And it's just absolutely worth it in the Incursion. It really is. You see some crazy numbers at the end. And I'll put some clips up that you've already seen. I'll put some more again at the end. You know, you see some absolutely crazy numbers. The minute you get Sledgehammer and Opportunistic on the bosses as well, that's the only thing you really need, just Opportunistic. Sledgehammer is an absolute bonus though as well. You just see them absolutely melt. It's really nice. And if you get somebody to run, you know, you don't have to run the Contractor's Gloves. You could run the Bloody Knuckles if you wanted to as well, and that is another huge amount of damage. But you have to kind of throw a grenade. So if you pre-throw in a grenade while they're invulnerable, that would work as well. Or you could kind of give them a bit of a love tap as you're running past them. And although it's really nice and it does work, it can take away seconds sometimes when you're being too focused trying to proc it when you could already be doing damage. And that's why I ended up settling with the Contractor's Gloves. If you don't have the Contractor's Gloves, you could switch these to Grupo Gloves, and that will give you a bunch of extra crit damage as well. That would be really nice. And if you don't have the Hyena's mask, you could keep the Contractor's Gloves on and you could put Grupo mask in instead. There's a bunch of alternatives. There's all the stats for you. If you do switch it over to the St. Elmo because you've not got the OUROBOROS yet either, what you need to do is play around with the crit chance a little bit. So I would change 2 of the mods here that I've got. You can see here I run crit damage mods. I'll put a crit chance mod in there, and I would just put a crit chance mod on the backpack. That will give me the extra 12%, and that would take me to 54%, putting me in a very similar place and then therefore making the build just as good. And then obviously then the other options are as well, if you don't want to run the St. Elmo and you want some even bursty damage, I really do recommend using the Sleipnir. This thing is an absolute beast for burst damage. If you're struggling, you know, and the boss seems to be calling out the drone at the end and you're not doing enough damage, you could run that. But then I'm going to definitely put at least 3 critical hit chance mods in there for 612 for 18%. 18 plus 27 off the rip is 45%. So I still need another 6%. So now I would have to perhaps roll my contractor's gloves to critical hit chance. But the same build still works. The same build still applies. But I'll put an actual Sleipnir variant in the link down below for you to check that out. That's going to be it for this video. That's how people are absolutely melting the final bosses. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Maybe come and check me out on Kick, YouTube and Twitch live this evening at 7 PM UK time, and join my community Discord. You'll find the link down below if you need any help with the incursion as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.